So it was one of those cold, rainy November evenings. You know, the kind where all you want is to curl up and forget the world exists. I had just gotten home from a long shift at the bookstore, completely wiped out. All I could think about was a hot shower and maybe a quiet evening with tea and a good book. As I got to my door on the fifth floor of my apartment building, I noticed this guy sitting just outside one of the units, soaked, hood up, clearly not having a great night. He looked up when I passed and gave me this kind of shy, awkward smile.
Hey, sorry to bother you.
He said.
You wouldn't happen to have a phone charger, would you? Mine's dead and I'm kinda locked out.
I stopped. His whole vibe just screamed, I didn't plan for this. Turns out he left his key at a friend's place and had no way to contact his landlord. He looked tired, embarrassed, and honestly a little miserable. I hesitated, but something about him seemed genuine, like harmless in the most apologetic way possible. So I said, "Yeah, I've got a charger. Come in before you catch a cold." That's how I met Aaron. Inside, I gave him a towel, pointed him to the outlet, and started boiling water for tea. I wasn't trying to be overly nice, it just didn't sit right letting someone freeze in the hallway. He tried calling his roommate, but no luck. The guy was out of town. That's when it hit him. He had nowhere to go for the night. He looked at me kind of sheepishly and said,
I guess I'm stuck, huh?
I surprised myself by saying, "You can crash on the couch, just for tonight."
He looked so relieved. Thank you, Emma. I promise I'll make it up to you.
We ended up talking for a while. He was a computer science student, working part-time at a local cafe. I told him about my job at the bookstore and how much I love literature. The conversation just flowed. It wasn't awkward. It felt like we got each other, even though we'd just met. Eventually, I gave him a pillow and blanket, and we both tried to get some sleep. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of fresh coffee. He had found my French press and made a batch. I didn't know how you take it, so I didn't add anything, he said, kind of nervously. It was perfect. He left around 8, super grateful. I figured that was that. Maybe I'd see him in the hallway again. Maybe not. But 2 days later, he knocked on my door. This time with muffins and coffee. "Peace offering," he said, grinning. From there, it became kind of a thing. He'd stop by with snacks. I'd invite him in for tea. We never labeled it, but something was definitely happening. A few weeks later, during midterms, he came over looking stressed and said his place was a disaster. I told him to study at mine. It was quieter. So he did. And that turned into late-night study sessions, silent company, shared laughs, and little glances when we thought the other wasn't looking. One night, we were watching a movie and didn't move when the credits rolled. I turned to say something.